I have a confession. I love Star Wars. I know I'm not going to be a trailblazer when I say Star Wars is something that's beloved by millions of people, perhaps billions, and it literally changed the face of filmmaking. Did you know that the term blockbuster is credited to the franchise because people were literally lining up around the block to see the original Star Wars movie when it was released? And did you know that the spoiler culture we live in, where every movie blog or movie podcast is looking for the biggest scoop in the upcoming summer blockbuster, was largely started because of Episode 1's production? These movies are just huge. Everywhere you look, you see Star Wars. And I think it's pretty obvious why people love this franchise so much. There's something there for everyone without it turning into a jack-of-all-trades or master-of-none sort of thing. There are flavors of old westerns thrown into the pot with Kurosawa classics and Flash Gordon-esque sci-fi serials. Hints of real-world imagery and mythology gleamed through the giant lens of science fiction as beats of action, fantasy, and romance all blared by. It's no wonder why it caught on, or why a lot of people think it's so special, or why I love it so. It's May 4th, so all the Star Wars fans of the world are celebrating a much-beloved saga by watching the movies again for the, upteenth time. I'm pretty sure the counter's broken at this point. And while joining in on the celebration, I decided to reflect on what Star Wars really meant to me. I was born in 1996, so my first cognitive memories with the franchise were with the prequels. And to all the Star Wars fans before me, don't pity me, because I loved every second of it. I was a bit too young to have definitive memories of seeing Episode 1 in theaters. According to my dad, when I saw Jar Jar Binks during our screening of The Phantom Menace, I began to cry so much that he and I had to leave the theater. Today, upon viewing Phantom Menace, I still cry when I see Jar Jar. As for Attack of the Clones, I vaguely remember the excitement of being in the theater watching all the Jedi ignite their lightsabers at the Battle of Geonosis. However, when Revenge of the Sith came out, I remember every second of everything leading up to that movie. I remember sitting in the cafeteria where my friends and I would compare which Star Wars characters were on our bag of chips we brought with our lunches, while showing off all the different toys from the different fast food restaurants in the area promoting the movie. I remember the goosebumps I got during my countless rewatchings of that first trailer that ended with Anakin catching and igniting a red lightsaber, a cut to black as the Imperial March faintly played in the background as Darth Vader's iconic breath faded in. On the day the movie finally came out, I was checked out of school early. My dad told the front desk that I had a doctor's appointment. That excuse was kinda useless as I left the classroom bragging to everybody that I was gonna go wait in line to see Star Wars. Now with the original trilogy, sadly my memory's a little more vague. The last time the original trilogy was in theaters, it was in 1997, so obviously my dad didn't take me to see them. And even if he did, I probably wouldn't have remembered that much. However, I remember watching the original trilogy all the time with my dad out of his set of VHS tapes that came in a silvered cardboard box with the silhouette of the first film's poster on the side. And leading into each scene, my dad would give me quick pop quizzes about what was about to happen and where was the story going to go next. My early memories are blurry at best. They all sort of run together. Now with that said, certain things stick out like bright beacons burning in the marsh of my memory. And interestingly, all those memories involved my time with the series outside of the theaters and the movies. I remember once arguing with my grandmother about whether or not Luke got his hand cut off in Episode 5. She was convinced that I was thinking of Han Solo because, quote, the main character can't get hurt. And not to brag, but I ended up being right. However, I'm pretty sure she wasn't familiar with the series as a whole like I was, and was instead indulging my interest. My friends and I all had several of the replica lightsabers, the ones that were made out of section tubes that collapsed into the hilt and would light up appropriately when you turned them on, which helped us create countless hours of our own epic battles in our backyard, which had their own stories that we desperately tried to fit into the Star Wars canon. The Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon started airing when I was in 2nd grade, and I would watch these shorts with my friends in between games of GoldenEye and Pokemon Stadium, some episodes of which are permanently etched into my mind. Mace Windu taking on an entire army of droids by himself, an elite squad of clone troopers stuck behind enemy lines, the smile on Obi-Wan's face as Anakin graduates into knighthood, and of course the introduction of General Grievous where he killed Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Yes, that's real, and it's canon. Look it up. It was amazing. As for the video games I would play, the fun adventures in Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, the funny reimaginings in all the LEGO games, and of course the hundreds of hours fought with my Uncle Jonathan in the battlefields of Star Wars Battlefront. What I'm getting at is that the Star Wars I grew up with is very much an amalgamation of the original trilogy and the prequels. It's all imagery that is very important to me. The image of young Anakin on Tatooine, his shadow forming Vader's silhouette. The portraits of Obi-Wan and Anakin blackened against molten lava as their crystal blue sabers clashed. Luke looking out on a desert as a pair of sinking suns set in the horizon. Han and Leia confessing their love in the red and blue glow of Cloud City. A single figure against a funeral pyre, and a pan up into the stars. My uncle and I hunched over a TV playing a video game pretending to be in the trenches of a galactic war. Beautiful animation recounting what seemed like endless battles between two faceless factions. Countless rewatchings of each movie with my dad and I quoting each scene word for word. Backyard brawls with plastic tubes that emulated our favorite weapon from a galaxy far, far away. This is my Star Wars. The coolest thing about it is I know my experience is not the same as everybody else's. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's the beauty of it. It's a series that means a billion different things to a billion different people, and for better or worse, movies are going to continue to come out, which will help introduce new generations for years to come to an amazing franchise created by a man who had an idea about a story that took place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.